come on. How you want it, cognac or Patron? Brunch with the boys, we gon' give you what you want. And what you don't know, we about to put you on. Come on. How you want it, cognac or Patron? Brunch with the boys, we gon' give you what you want. And what you don't know, we about to put you on. Yes, we are the trending topic. We relationship prophets. Brunch with the boys, we the hottest. Brunch with the boys, we the hottest.
What's going on? It's your boy King Des here. Another episode of Brunch with the Boys. What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing tonight?
Easy. What's good, everybody?
It's Mr. Gent out here.
What up, though, man?
Yeah, we got a special guest tonight. Introduce a special guest.
Yeah, man. So we got Dion, and you know I'm not gonna drop your last name because I don't want the government to find you.
Appreciate that.
However, he is editor-in-chief of InClub Magazine. I mean, if you're talking about the culture and representation of the culture from a nice millennial viewpoint, I mean, this is the epitome of the magazine you want to read, man. Clean.
That's dope.
So I'm so happy to actually have him here because, you know, it's, one thing I think is black men are real versatile, man. You know, we can have a little bit of that hood streak in us, but in the same breath, man, we can change it up to a corporate American type of facade as well, man. So we can go in and out, and it's always good to find more black men that do that, and you're a good representation of that because you can have that intellectual conversation, but in the same breath, man, we about to keep it real, which is what we do here at Brunch with the Boys. So that's our man. So can you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I just want to say I appreciate it, and it's funny because we had this conversation early on. I kind of remember when you guys first started, and I'm just a fan of any time black men specifically can get together and do something that gives our voice to the culture, gives our voice to contribute into conversations, right? So I'm just a fan, so thanks for having me on. It's dope, man. And yeah, you know, I think that's what we have to do. We have to continue to contribute to the conversation. So InClub Magazine is just one conduit in which I do that, right?
Yeah. So what is it that you love about the mag, though? What you most proud of?
I think the biggest thing that I'm proud of is that people can look at it and see a reflection of them, right? Like growing up, it was hard to find representation. The first time I seen representation with somebody I thought was dope was Blade Brown in Class Act. Y'all probably too young to know about that, but come on, man. It was Class Act, Kid and Play. So I thought Play was really cool. He was a dark skinned dude. I was like, yo, he's so cool. So I was like, in magazine form, I feel like we don't see that a lot of times, right? Yeah. Is either they're aging up, you know, with certain magazines, or they're just not really for us. So it was really about that, and putting that out there is one thing, but seeing that becomes your audience, that's what's most exciting. Because when you put your business plan, you say, this is who we want to reach. That don't mean that's who we're going to reach, right?
That's true.
The data will inform you who your audience is. And when the data showed us that we was reaching who we wanted to reach, it was like, okay, we got something.
Because we actually thought we were making a podcast for men, and about 72% of our followers are actually women, which is strange,
right.
But so I completely get it. Where you repping though, man?
Yeah. Oh, Philly all day, man. Come on, man. You know, Dilly. You know what up, man.
I feel you,
you know.
It ain't DC though.
Nah. Listen.
It ain't Dade County, nigga. That's what we really going
305 till I
didn't know what that was.
I got love for DC. I got love for DC though. They support. They're one of the biggest supporters of the magazine. So shout out to DC.
Okay. All right. Man. Now y'all friends now?
I don't know about that. Like, he tried to hate a little bit. That was my moment. He kind of jumped in. So.
All right, man. Well, we here at Brunch with the Boys, man, we just want to bring you into the conversation, man. Yeah. So we're just gonna hit the topic, man.
And we get it in. Let's get it in, man. I wanted to bring up conversations that every couple need to have if they hope to stay together. So we're gonna go into that, and y'all already know how Jezzy do it. Let's start off from the top: intimacy, sex, fucking. Mm-hmm. I believe if you're going to stay together, you need to have an understanding. You need to have a conversation as to what your expectations are when it comes to sex. Mm-hmm. We talked about our relationships earlier, situation before we got started. Do you have conversations with the women you're with and say, hey, this is what I'm expecting? Des.
I think you have to, that has to be part of the overall conversation. I think what you have to talk about is not just how many times you want to have sex, right? It has to be, what are things that are interesting to you? What are things that are maybe fetishes of yours that you're engaged in, right? Because you could be compatible on one plane, right, and not on the other. Yet we both want to have sex 3 or 4 times a week, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be tied up. I think that's weird,
Yeah.
right? Y'all ain't compatible, right? Y'all want it the same amount of times. Y'all just don't want it the same way. So I think you have to have a comprehensive conversation about what's important to you in a relationship, and some of the things that you're willing to work on, and some of the things you have to have from the jump.
Yeah.
You know?
When it comes to physical attraction, Dion, you tell me, is that something that's big for you?
It's huge, and I kind of wanted to. Can I try to
can
answer
jump
that?
in, sure,
I
man.
want to jump
Go
in
back,
that too.
yeah.
I think because just to piggyback off of what he just said, I think the other part of that as well is, to me, intimacy informs what's going to happen in the bedroom as well, right?
Yeah.
So I think having that conversation about what gets you going, because women are, not microwaves, right? We wake up like a microwave. We like, yo, let's go. But a woman takes a lot longer to get her there, right?
Goddamn Pop-Tart.
So for what I had to learn in conversation that I had, like what gets you to that place, right, where you can have an orgasm, multiple orgasms. And what I found out is what you do all through the day. Are you serving her all through the day? Like, that's how my wife is. If I'm taking out the trash, if I'm washing the baby, she's like, oh, okay, this is worse. So when it gets to the bedroom, she's like, oh, bet, and it's on and popping, right? So I think that conversation had to be had outside of just the pounding, because not when we're 90, it ain't gonna be happening that way, right?
Man.
That 3-4 times goes out the window when things get busy and you got to travel, all this stuff. Even 3-4 times when you're young, sometimes you're like, yo, how can we not? We only did it once this week. Like, how does that happen? So I think
gotta fit it in.
Yeah, the intimacy I think is crucial, to how the sex life goes, because regardless of what you're into, if she's mentally not there, it's gonna be trash. It's gonna be trash.
So why do we have to work so fucking hard? I mean, what you said something that's true. Men are more ready, and we always call those women jump offs, but really they're just ready. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. Why do we have to work so hard? I saw a meme that said men cheat because it's easier to get pussy outside than it is to get it at home.
I think that's not true.
Yeah,
I think we just care less. Because think about it, when you're married to somebody, like a one night stand, you only got to satisfy that person for one night. Marriage, you got to satisfy them for their lifetime.
It becomes a task.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yo, I have to satisfy the same woman for a lifetime.
That's a big responsibility.
Exactly.
And you know what's weird?
It's like the jump off,
Commitment.
you don't really care. You want her to be like, oh my God, it was good, but you don't really care if it was, as long as you like, hey, well, that's on you. You don't care as much.
I think I look at marriage differently and relationships different. I embrace that challenge to get them off over, and it becomes easier. Once you learn the body, once you have the blueprint, man, I know exactly where to go to get
But see,
2 or
that's
3 nuts.
but that's
You know
the
what I
thing.
mean?
A
So
lot of men don't take
that's
time
not-
to learn the blueprint, which I think that you guys kind of touch on, and it's an exploration of conversation. It's exploration of trial and error. It's actually paying attention while you're in those trial and errors. You know what I'm saying? And then being able to tweak the formula. You know what I'm saying? So you get, so you can pop it.
Women need to meet us halfway with that. I believe that whole warm up shit. I get it. A few texts during the day, I'm all for flirting. I mean, I think that's big for warming it up. But man, meet us halfway. It can't always be, well, I ain't hear from you all day. So what? I was at work, working for the family. Then I took our kids to soccer practice and to volleyball. So don't come at me and say, man, you just gonna come at it like that? This is the time I got, ho. Are you doing it or not? You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
You know what? Let me say something too. Not necessarily tagging on the back of that.
It's like you about to jump on that.
That stands on its own. I also think that people aren't honest in relationships. And I mean, and not just sexually, but we're talking about, intimacy right now, sex. People aren't honest. You have people in relationships that have been together or been married for 5, 6, 10 years, right? And one partner doesn't know that this other partner really, really enjoys these things. And it's because people are scared of being judged. They're scared of having that information used against them.
Yep.
And what I would say is, if you're in a relationship with somebody that you don't feel like you can be honest with, how very sad is that, right? Because if the goal is to be married or to be together for eternity or for the rest of your life, to not be your complete self with that person is really unfortunate. You should probably consider that before you get into that relationship, And
I think that's big for men, because I think culturally we're not afforded those spaces to be able to be fluid and expressive, especially sexually. It's always, we can only do 2 things, be angry or be horny. But to actually express those things sexually of how we want to be touched, if we want to be touched, and all these things, we don't have those conversations, which I think,
have
again,
those.
good, smart man. That's why. So, but I
you're
think,
very progressive also.
and you'd
Yeah.
be surprised, because a lot of times
men
your
don't feel
woman,
like they can do that, though.
Exactly, or they want to know that stuff, because a lot of good women, they want to please you too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they should.
That's a fact.
Should. I think another issue, and I brought up physical attraction and how important it was to you, because I think if you're going to do a long-term relationship, you're going to be with one person, it's important to maintain that. You know, I said that before, that women always say, I want him to only have eyes for me. But then you need to maintain a look that allows that to be possible. You can't change the game. You can't change the contract. We met like this, and now I'm supposed to be okay with 50, 60 pounds because I love you. Now I'm supposed to be okay if you cut all your hair off.
Right.
That's a big drastic thing. There's some women that go long permed hair and then she wants to go natural. Oh my God, nigga, that's traumatizing.
Oh, yeah.
When you see your girl go to a
Really
baby fro, come on, man. Black man worldwide, come on,
Caesar,
man.
and then you hitting it from behind, man.
No,
Come on,
she at
man.
the barbershop next to you and her tape look better than yours. No, man, you don't want to live that way. So I really believe physical attraction can wane over time, and it's important to maintain that.
No, and here's the thing. I'm gonna say this real quick. So it's not like I disagree with my brother right now, because you know what I'm saying. I find it hard to disagree with someone I grew up with.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that if you love someone to like at the base level, like I've been with someone and they have gained weight and gone through changes and all that type of stuff, and I still can look at them as day one. I can say, dang, it's still attractive to me. Is it attractive to someone else? I probably
You
not.
see it in her eyes.
But I see it different. I still see it like the first time I met her. And so I can still find her attractive. Not every man can get there like that. You know what I'm saying?
I think
So
most men can. Go ahead, Dean.
But you talked about, because I think there's finding someone attractive as a partner, and then physical attractiveness, which to me is singular, right? And if you're talking about physical attractiveness, I don't know that short of that person making some material change to their physical appearance, I think whether or not they were a shitty person, whether or not the relationship didn't work, you can see them 5-10 years later, and assuming they look age appropriate, right? You're still going to find them attractive. It just doesn't mean you found them attractive as an overall partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another thing I want to say on that is, to me, that's why I think it's important. I know that things like boobs gonna sag, booty gonna sag, the pooch
True.
might become a pouch. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
But, if I can find something, her eyes or the way she says something or the way, and to me, physical attractiveness is important, but I don't need a 10.
Yeah.
I can take a 7 with a dope personality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That'll raise
over
it.
a 10,
That'll raise it, though.
Over a
Yeah.
10 who don't got nothing going for it. You know what I mean? So I think it's very difficult my point is, I think it's very difficult to separate simply physical attraction.
Because it's the things that she does. It's the vibes that she gives you.
Correct.
That boosts her physical attraction.
Correct.
So now when you see her, it's like you don't see just her looks. You don't see just her eyes.
you see her.
You see the way she treats you.
Yeah.
You see the way she loves you and loves on you. So I think that's what
Dion,
changes.
how you feel
Yeah, I
about
love that question, but I think it's a loaded question. I think a few things you said was interesting. I think first you mentioned, she picking up 60 pounds, 50 pounds. I think if you're honest, if you can be honest, like we're talking about, you should kind of let her know that before she hits that. When it's that first 15, be like, hey, babe, I see you pick up a little bit of weight.
You've been married for 2
intentional?
years. I'm not sure.
My wife would tell you I'm super honest.
No, you can be honest, you can still watch it go up. But I hear you.
Oh, for sure.
But I hear you.
Oh, for sure.
I digress.
No, 1,000%.
Sounds great. And
Listen, my wife lazy, so I'd be like,
In theory.
I'm just saying you can say. I'm not saying it's not going to still happen, right? But you can say it. I think the other part of that, though, I think there's no such thing as that she has to keep up this facade, because if we're honest, our odds are never satisfied. We're overgrown primates with egos. Like, we're always can see something that looks better than what we have. We're always attracted to other stuff. So I don't think it's our responsibility to carry on this thing of like, let me always stay fine for him. I think the other part as well for me, though, is that there are certain things that trumps physical attraction for me. So, I always tell my wife, I never needed to marry the best looking person, just the best person I ever met, right? That's who I married.
Oh, that's tight,
right?
I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use that one tonight.
But the biggest thing for my wife that's never going to change when everything else starts to die is how sweet she is. That's what I love, right? So a woman who's really smart, a woman who's well-dressed, a woman who's, those type of things for me trump just the physical beauty, right? It trumps those things for me. So to your point, she could be a 7. If she's really smart, she's a 10 to me. I'm like, yo,
Right.
she's
Agreed.
hot. Yo, I need her. If she's super sweet, she's serving. I'm like, yo, she's involved. I love a woman that's into those things. Those things trump just, you looking like, whatever.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I just want us to focus on what I mean here, and then we're going to move on. But when it comes to physical attraction, I mean that what you see when you meet them is what you hope it remains.
I don't have that expectation. I think it's unfair.
And that's fair to think it's unfair. I wouldn't place an expectation on her that I wouldn't hold myself to as well.
That's true.
So I think that has to go. I think it has to go both ways in this situation where you hold yourself accountable on some type of level. Yesterday we had a virtual happy hour, and one of the women said the importance of compliments to them. One woman lied and said she didn't care. We knew she was lying when she said. But my point of the matter is, she says she likes when her man tells her she's beautiful, even when she knows she's looking busted, and then it motivates her to then try to look better. And I said, that's some bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
agree.
why should it get to the point? You see, we try and we work hard in the beginning. Why relationships fail often, in my opinion, is effort in any way.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, you look this way. You think it's vanity. You think it's physical. It's not. It's effort. It's discipline. It shows so much more than just remaining looking good. So when you give a man that, he appreciates it.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? And if you show a man that, if he's slack, he gonna tighten his ass up too.
Yep.
So I think it does go both ways.
Yeah.
Go-
I want to say something that Dion said, and we've had this conversation before. So this thought that a man's eyes will never be satisfied, right? And so my question to you is, if the person you're in a relationship does everything you're talking about, and a bad one with a personality,
How bad?
Jesus,
And gripped him like that?
No, I'm not saying that's the only way I'm supposed to
I'm
do
about to
it.
say that's a firm grip. Like, girl, your grip is firm. I got to look up to her.
She worked out. She do what you want. She
There you
keeping it
go,
tight. There you go.
There you go. But my point is, you have the opportunity to smash a bad one, and no one will know but you. The fact that your person did all of those things, would it stop you from smashing? Be honest.
And you know why? I know a lot of people don't believe.
Don't look
I
off.
wish it was a video.
I understand why you doubt me. I definitely understand why you doubt me. I say I know who I am. But I have never been in a position, and that's sad on some level to say, because really my relationship experiences is short when it comes to the list of people. My experience with women is long when it comes to hoeing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difference.
Yeah, I know.
But I've never had a situation relationship-wise where she was my vibe and she kept it tight. You think that shit would make me go anywhere? Oh my God.
So let me ask you a question then.
I don't think
and
so.
I don't want to dwell on this question too long, but so let me ask you a question then. So do you feel like at this point in your life, right? You're not old, but you ain't no baby either, right? And between your relationships, simply physical, and those with some significant meaning to you, the fact that you've yet to find that person, does she actually exist?
Oh, definitely.
So what are you doing wrong?
I don't know if it's something that I'm doing wrong. I think timing is everything. If you
like
get
the
into
red
a
table right
relationship,
now. Ooh, he's
yeah. No, not at all. I'm always ready. And if you get into a relationship, and if it turns out to be a bad one, you stay in it, you're missing out on time and opportunity to find that right person.
Agreed.
I definitely believe the one I'm truly meant to exist. You know what I'm saying? I have no doubt about that, and I believe you just got to be patient. But no, I don't think because you haven't found what you want
Just let
that
go
it
and
doesn't
let God,
exist.
man. Let go and let God.
I mean, all of that too. You know what I mean?
But I love that. And I do
the
agree. I
hands
think
like-
more men have to be honest with their women. Like, yo, you getting a little big. Like, they need to say it because, or not, you wind up resenting them, right? And then you mad, and then you justifying your hoeing because you didn't have the
that's
balls to
true.
tell
All true.
her, hey, you starting to look a little.
That's when we
And she's mad. Why aren't you
Yeah,
trying
right,
to touch
exactly.
me? Why aren't you?
Yep.
Girl, you know why.
You know why.
You know
Don't
why.
ask that question.
You know what I'm
y'all.
saying? And it's so, I believe it's unfair, but we'll stay here all day.
Yes,
Yeah,
let's
no,
continue
We
moving.
got to move on. So, relationship boundaries, what it takes, you have to have these conversations about what it takes for you to feel safe in your relationship. And the article said you really want to speak from a perspective as far as what would make you feel unsafe, what would make you feel disrespected, and talk about those things so you can set those boundaries in your relationship. Do people even talk about that?
Would you say that's in line? Because it's funny, when you asked the question, the first thing that came to my mind was something I learned in premarital counseling that I had never considered. It was the idea of, he asked me, what are your emotional needs?
Yeah.
And I kept on saying what I think because I'm a thinker, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything's linear. I'm black and white. So I kept on telling him what I think. He's like, no, what's your emotional needs? I'm like, no one ever asked me that. I was like, I do not know. I felt like an idiot, right? I'm like, I don't know. So I think being able to convey to my wife what are my emotional needs, right? So now that's things that she can ask me, right? I can tell my wife, you hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings. You know, and a lot of times husbands, we don't, again, have that space to be able to do that. All we know is anger, right?
Real talk, Dion, I think most men are unable to answer that question until they reach the point where they feel like
Where they're faced with
there's a deficit.
Well, that's disappointing. though.
And no, but I'm just saying,
Right.
because I mean, we all don't feel out everything. And when
don't think
you
so?
jump into a relationship, it's not like you knew everything. And number one, that person is customizable because no one person is the same. So your needs may be different with that person because she may not have one thing that maybe the other person may have had, and so this is something that you need from this person. So I think some of it is like you trying to figure that out as things happen. The issue for me is, can you truly grow from there? Take that time, recognize it, communicate it effectively, and then you guys move from there? Or is it something where that person cannot provide that or is incapable of giving it to you at the level that you need? Then you come up in some issues, man. But, real talk, I feel like men feel that out. I don't know if it's the same for everybody.
You know what this is. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say too. I think men think they choose not to, but I don't think it's that simple. I think it starts way earlier in life, and I think we are socialized as young men and boys to behave a certain way, right? And it starts with things that are very mundane. Some kid falls. You'll be okay. Stop crying. You're a little boy. Don't be crying like no little girl. You're a little girl. You're a little girl.
Yep.
No, I'm not. So wipe them damn tears away, right?
Yeah.
So
Sound like you used that one.
No. But when you start that at 3-4 years old, by the time that kid's, probably way earlier than 16,
18,
17.
20.
But a young man, he learns incorrectly that it's not okay to be emotional. It's not okay to cry.
exactly.
It's not okay to stare right, and show weakness, right? And so I think that when we get older, we tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm not doing that because I'm choosing not to." But do you really feel comfortable?
Exactly.
And vulnerability, in my opinion, is maybe the purest form of intimacy.
Come on, Doc.
Now that's real talk.
When you can be vulnerable and open up about that, women eat that shit up too.
You're so stupid.
Like if you really,
Not every woman, though. I'm gonna let you know, not every woman is down for that. We've had plenty of conversation that when women see expressive man as a form of weakness, some women
That's
do.
because their psyche,
Because
their childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to use a blanket statement. That's the only thing I'm saying. So.
I think that you know what bothers you. I think you know what type of actions will make you feel unsafe or disrespected, and you have to voice that. And this is why these conversations are important, because you're essentially giving your spouse, your mate, the blueprint to success. So if you tell a hoe, hey, look, if you do this, that comes off as disrespectful, and she does it, she's choosing to disrespect you, and that's just your reality. You know what I mean? And you got to make a decision moving forward. You definitely know what bothers you.
Yeah.
You know, what your needs are.
I agree. I don't think your emotional needs change. I think we just have no practice expressing them.
Agreed.
Yeah, good point.
Agreed.
Point.
What would make you end a relationship? Do you guys know what would undoubtedly?
big question.
I know. And I'm sure there's a big list maybe.
Narrow down to 2?
Yeah, narrow down to top two reasons what would make
Okay.
you end a
Give
relationship.
it to me, Des.
Infidelity.
Okay.
Really?
Infidelity.
And you know why you made that face? Because you're like, boy, niggas be cheating all day. That's why you made that face. That was low-key judgment.
I want to put some details around that. I'm gonna give you the 2, and I want to put some details around it. So some context.
Make it, man. Make it 350.
Infidelity. The other one is, and this is for me personally, I need an ambitious partner.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a professional realm. I need you to be passionate about being good at something. Whatever that is. You can be a kindergarten teacher, right? And you say, but I want to be the Florida State women's jiu-jitsu champion.
Yeah.
I just want you to I want you to be
Love
passionate about being so good at something. And about the infidelity, I want to quantify that. If, I've been in relationships where I felt they weren't going very well. And, we've all had this conversation. And I've said to myself, am I giving 100% to the relationship?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not. I'm giving about 68% to the relationship.
Maybe 52.
And so, right. And so, what I'm supposed to give, right? So really it's 25% overall, right? But I said, you know what? And we've all talked about this. And I said, I need to, for the next 6 months, I got to pour my all into this.
Yeah.
And I have to determine if this wasn't succeeding because neither one of us is giving everything or because it just ain't going to work.
It's not going to work, yeah.
And lo and behold, those relationships have improved. And I think for me, infidelity at a time when I feel like I'm giving you everything I can and everything you told me to give you would have me unable to stay in a relationship because I wouldn't know what else I could do. Infidelity, when I'm out here hoeing or not doing what I'm supposed to do, may be a little bit different. May be a little bit different.
That's good in the fine print.
I think I would
that in the
be
fine
able to
print.
live with that if I were unfaithful and she got me back on some get back. I want to know how it went down.
Do you really?
I don't want to know.
Not
we
like
all
the-
think we want to know.
But not the play for play, but I want to know why she did it because I don't know. It would probably bother me if she went out there looking for dick versus a
What did she work
situation
with
where, and that may be different too. But versus something that kind of fell in her lap and she was susceptible to it because I was neglecting her.
Party with a girl.
You know what I mean? So
Girls
exactly,
trip.
you know what I mean? But something like, she went out, nah, nigga, I'm gonna get you back. You fuck that bitch, I'm gonna fuck this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are women like that. So I think it would depend on how she was unfaithful if it were me.
Jimmy?
Well, on that level, I'm just saying I'm giving my girl one chance to fuck up. So that's just my personality.
As far as cheating wise?
And
You giving her a free pass. I'll
because I know I have been the person that has cheated, and I would have gladly have liked a chance to rectify my behavior.
One
Right. So
chance.
I want to give it the hashtag Drake. One time is fine with me.
That's
you know
so
what I'm saying?
progressive. I typically see you as a Neanderthal, and that really, really
No,
shocks
I mean
me.
I drag
It
my
is.
knuckles on the floor every once in a while, but like
That
on
is
this, I'm
shocking
not
to
going to
me.
do that.
Yeah,
But and this is real.
crazy.
I've said this a number of times, so it's not. I'm not just saying this for the podcast.
Yeah.
But the things that I need, I think consistency. Whatever it took to get us where we are, why we got together in the first place, just keep doing it.
But tell me though, we're talking about things that would end the relationship.
No, but
You say-
so I'm basically
we
telling
say
you
a lack of
inconsistency.
So I want to know
Inconsistency won't do
how
that.
long does it take for
Yeah, that's a
that
good
inconsistency to show?
Honestly-
because in my opinion, when we're young, we think that shit is long. 6 months, year, 2 years. No, realistically, inconsistency is if I said it today, bitch, and next week or 2 weeks from now you did it again. All right, hey, listen. Oh, okay, yeah, my bad, babe, I forgot. And if a month later she does it again, fuck you, ho. That's inconsistency, and we let hoes slide on that shit. And good men and listen, fellas. For all you good niggas out there, man, let that hoe go. Because the fact is, if she can't show consistency in that way, you don't need time for consistency. You need now.
I want to know your math because 3 out of 90 days is not bad math.
Dog, it is to me. If you, come on, think about it. If you know you're doing something that's hurting someone and they tell you, please don't do it, it's killing me, and then they do it again. All right, we talking about it again. Then the third time again, and that happens within a 3-month round.
I'll
They're
let you touch
choosing to do this.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. I think, and I don't necessarily know that I agree all the time, but I think what you're saying too is that it's one thing to need time to improve on a skill or a process, right? Yeah. Behavior, right? I think Jesus saying is if I'm telling you you're hurting me by making bacon every morning. I told you this, right? And every morning you make bacon after I told you.
Knowing you Muslim.
You know what I mean? You're stupid. You know what I mean? Or normally throughout the next course of the next week or two, you consistently make bacon. It's like you clearly don't care about me or what's important to me because I've had this conversation with you and you've not changed. There's turkey bacon, there's ham, there's everything else. But you want to make this pork bacon after I told you, right? I mean,
I
crazy
think that
analogy,
is
but
more very crazy analogy. I'd like to add.
That's very brush with the boyish, though. I can give you that
I
too.
feel that's more don't fit than it is inconsistency. You know what I mean? If you really love bacon, and let me make it clear, I fucking love bacon. If I got with a chick
Not
right
turkey
now, she
bacon, that's
said,
not real bacon.
I
That's
can't
not-
do,
no,
definitely
Pork
not
or
real
beef,
bacon.
that's it. Yeah.
If she said, I can't do bacon, no, this ain't gonna work, ho. We got to move on. I don't care if everything else perfect. I'm gonna eat bacon, and I'm gonna fry it at the house. I might bake it if I'm lazy. You're not gonna tell me I can't have bacon. So I think that doesn't fit more. And what I meant
wasn't
more,
actually using the bacon thing. That was just the thing I was using.
and I get it.
But what's the
very
difference?
passionate,
So my-
inconsistent,
Right. So
yeah.
my point is that so what's the difference between me telling somebody that something bothers me and them after that conversation
You're right.
can
You know, I say that because when it comes to food, it's
Especially
more
bacon,
something-
apparently.
Yeah,
Food was
bacon.
just the thing I used to make the point.
But yeah, food is something, if that matters to you, I can't imagine a bacon lover and a non-bacon lover being together. That shit is
Still
real,
stuck on the
dog.
bacon.
Well, I'm gonna go back to what I was saying in the
Bacon in
first place.
relationships.
So
Bacon in relationships.
the consistency for me is like if you were doing something and it's the reason I got with you. For example, if we were dating every week and all of a sudden every time I ask you to go out, you don't want to go out anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm telling you, this is what we need because this is what got us here. Then there's inconsistency in what we've been doing. So consistency is important in a relationship. And if I keep telling you this is what I need, to your point, and you're not doing it, then that's a deal breaker for me. And then definitely on the other side of it, I honestly feel like I think sex is a big part, right? So I've never it's so crazy because
You don't
I've
even
never
want it
been
like that. You
I've
don't even
never
want
been
it
an
like that.
overly
Yeah.
sexual person, but I know that how I act if I don't get it over a long period of time. So I know that
So
I'm
do
going
I.
to start
I know
slamming
you act too.
doors.
I think Gigi does this well.
I'm gonna start slamming doors. I'm the fridge door,
That's
any
all men.
door,
Dog, man,
cabinets.
we're like babies. We start popping and shit when we got what, nigga?
Exactly. I'm walking out of rooms for no reason in the middle of the night.
No,
It's-
seriously.
I just know that that's a deal breaker because I guess physical touch is a part of my love language that I wasn't aware of initially. And,
It's my number
and although
one love language.
physical touch is more in regards to just touching at random,
necessarily
and It's
sexual.
not always sexual.
Exactly.
I need all of that,
Yeah.
So that's mine. But I want to hear from Dion on that.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, and maybe it's different. So if I was not married, I have different deal breakers. Okay. Now that I am married,
Yeah.
those deal breakers dwindled down, right?
They did.
And if my wife was to step out on me, I would not leave her. Like, hands down, would
give me
not leave
some
her,
on
right?
that, man.
I wouldn't
I thought I
leave
was
her.
alone for
I
a
wouldn't
little
leave
bit.
her.
But does it have a number on it? Does that what if it
No.
happened 2 or 3 times?
I wouldn't leave her.
God
And-
dang,
and
boy,
a lot
I
of
wanna hear
that
about
just-
this.
Let me take
just
my
block
let me
it.
take my dad back. Let me
No, I
reverse
wanna-
that.
I wanna hear about that.
And
She had a gangbang last night, but I love her, dog. But I love her.
No, go ahead,
But
Dion.
it's not even that. Okay, bruh, you had to put the worst possible situation. Listen, if I marry somebody who's willing to get gay, baby, I got some issues.
That's
That's a whole nother thing.
That is
but
a fact.
let's just say she's a normal woman who just having to cheat. All right,
There you go.
let's go with that. Right.
There you go.
I would not leave. Right. However, the thing that would make me leave is probably just flat out abandonment. Like if she just like, yo, I'm out and just disappears and goes ghost, it's like, all right, well, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to continue to try to pine after you but for so long, right? Secondly, and this might sound insensitive, but I think
Crack cocaine.
no.
Okay.
If she did something to our children,
Oh yeah.
It's not insensitive.
I feel like
It's not insensitive.
it will be hard.
Yeah, you'd
to
hit
get
her in
It'd be
the
back.
jaw for that
impossible.
one.
It
Yeah.
might be impossible.
Yeah, it would be hard, right? Because as much as I would want to, it'd be like, man, I have to. It would just be a different thing.
Your
Because it's one
responsibility
thing
is
you
to
doing
her.
something to me. It's the same way. Like if somebody tried to do something to my wife, like, bruh, it's going down. Like I'm giving
Right.
you the right hand of fellowship. Is going down, right? So if somebody happens to my children, and it's you, the person closest to me, the person who I let in, I just think that'd be something hard.
Fathers
for me
care
to go,
too,
right?
man. And
Yeah,
women- we always get a bad rep. And
Oh, yeah.
women act like we just care minimally.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we
we're,
just
we're we're invested. We love hard.
Big
and,
time.
You know,
Big
that protective.
time. And I feel
thing
like
is
I would
real.
resent her, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to her, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think those are like, and married, those are like my deal burgers. Like those things is like, I couldn't do it, man. But
decent.
But so to back to just real quick about the thing about the infidelity. So just for me and my convictions and everything, there, in the Bible there's a book called Hosea, and he talks about how he goes back and continues to get his wife, and God continues says, no, go buy back your wife, right? After she continues to go out and put herself a prostitute, and essentially that's us, because I put myself in that position. Like, how dare I? Like, man, I mess up. I missed the mark daily. I can make a mess like a food fight. Who am I not to give that same amount of grace to the person that I look at as my equal, that I committed to? Like when I bought this ring that I spent a lot of money on, you know what I mean?
I
That was
assure
me
you.
saying you're my equal. And that means that, hey, I'm willing to continue to buy you back.
I'm not gonna lie, Dion. That's deep as shit.
I
Right?
do not believe.
Deep
I
as
don't know
shit.
your wife, but I do not believe she feels the same way about it.
Listen, no, my wife, I cheat on my wife. She like, deuces.
Yeah, yeah,
She like,
yeah.
I'm
So,
out here.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
no, my wife will probably give me one chance. She probably like, all right, we're going to go to counseling.
every woman
and you do it
give you one.
again,
Yeah.
it's a wrap. No, my wife is very adamant. Like, Nah, you cheese.
Well, not every woman's gonna give you one, but
I respect that. I don't agree, but I definitely respect it.
I definitely don't agree either. I
respect
respect it I respect it so much because I don't agree.
Because I think it's easier to say no.
It is.
I think it takes much more commitment to your convictions, to Dion's point, to say there are reasons that I would work through this.
Yeah.
And so I think just saying no, I would leave is the easy way out.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yeah.
that's commendable.
Real. That's real. So one of the things you brought up, you said abandonment.
Yeah.
It's important to talk with your partner about your fears, of the relationship. And I think the main fear I think a lot of people talk about is abandonment and being left.
Oh, but that's some of my childhood trauma. Like,
Yeah.
I had abandonment issues growing up.
Yeah.
You know, my mother was on drugs, didn't know my father. You know what I mean? Like, I was in foster care a little bit, didn't live with my grandparents. My grandfather didn't like me. He used to wake me up in the middle of the night. Mom, I'm probably like 4 or 5 years old, tell me to get out, make me walk down the corner and say, come back. Like, I have legit abandonment issues, right? So, so those things is definitely like, oh, crap. What if I come home one day and, like, you're gone? Like, I would be jacked up.
Yeah.
But for that reason, it ain't no coming back. You'd be like, oh, I got my life together. That's nice.
Right.
Enjoy.
Doesn't include me.
Yeah.
Correct.
But you have to talk about those fears, though,
man.
and make them known because certain things trigger those fears. And if you don't have those discussions, those triggers will pop up.
I have fears of valuation, like and as much
Validation?
Okay. And valuation, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
Tell me what that means.
Meaning, like, sometimes I look at whether I'm getting what I'm giving out to be reciprocated. If I don't get it back, it somehow feels as if I'm being devalued. So then it's like a self-inflicted wound for me. And I think a lot of that goes back also to my childhood.
Appreciation, though.
And but I think it goes back to your childhood, and it's that fear of failure feel. It's that fear of never being good enough.
Yeah.
Because
that's the validation part.
So it's the validation piece.
Yeah.
And I mask it so well because I am an alpha male, and I've put that face on for so long, and so therefore I kind of own it. But if I pull back the curtains, I know that's there, and that goes back through some childhood trauma that I didn't even realize until I went to therapy on it. And so
shout out to black men talking about therapy.
Oh yeah, man,
like,
you got to do it,
a lot
man.
of therapy, please.
Yeah.
Real
talk.
talk. Seriously,
it's real shit.
This is amazing.
And
Johnson has
so
helped
real.
me so much.
So that's something that I speak on in my relationship, so that you understand. Don't make me feel like that, because my reaction is never going to be good. You already know I got anger issues. So what's going to happen out of that is I'm going to burn the world fucking down, and then you are going to be incinerated. And that's not what I want to do.
I think every man wants to feel appreciated and needs to feel appreciated. I think every person needs to feel appreciated. So
I think that's a neat thing for all of us, right?
I definitely
being
think it's
validated. Even you mentioned love languages and words of affirmation is huge for me.
Huge.
Like,
Oh, yeah?
huge.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like I need a pat on the back. It's more of like, show me your gratitude. Like, I'll jump through a hoop of fire with my wife, like, yo, baby, go get him. You killing it.
Yeah.
Oh, word? Oh, all right. Let me go through 10 more fire hoops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the affirmation.
Whatever
And I think-
triggers for you.
Yeah, and a lot of other people would think, well, it's like you need a pat on the back. It's not that. It's affirming that you see, like, yo, you
recognize what I'm
it
doing.
for
A
me.
a
You know
simple
what I mean?
thank you, I appreciate that.
big
It's so
time.
big for me.
Big
You know,
time.
and just to hear like, hey, and to speak on something after it happens, that's when it's even sweeter. Hey, I appreciate you doing that last weekend, or helping my mom out.
Like, oh, you seen
that's
that?
like, all right, so you know this, hoe, because I did that for you. I ain't want to do it, so I'm glad you said that. You know what I'm saying? So
Because I was going to bring it up. Go ahead. You said it.
So I think you got to talk about those fears. You have any fears, Des, you want to share with us?
I don't know if y'all ever seen that. That's a big boy. He look like he got no fears.
Yeah.
I mean, like fears.
She won't love me.
You know what? Not that I can think of.
Yeah. And I'm sure I think we all have them.
Yeah, I'm sure I do. I'm sure.
I set you up here, put you on the spot.
No, you did. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, got no fears.
Yeah.
No, I'm legitimately trying to
get
think.
you.
Usually, sometimes it's the thing you get most angry about.
That's a good point.
Like, it's the thing that
And you
when
don't
it
realize
happens, man, you'll probably run through a freaking wall. You know what I'm saying? In regards to how angry you are.
You know what? So I don't know if this is a fear, but I think something that's important to me. So, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. And I think like everybody at this table, we've had to earn everything that we've gotten, through hard work and perseverance. And I got kids. And my kids live a very, very, very comfortable life, right? And the thing that worries me, a fear of mine for them, and I guess for them is, I think the things that I think of back in childhood, and I go, man, that shit was tough, right? Like where I grew up at, the stuff that I seen, but I also think it's the person. I'm that person today because of those things, right? It hard to me. There's stuff that happens at work, and I see people who clearly had a very, very, very comfortable upbringing as well. I'm like, y'all really stressing this?
Right.
Y'all couldn't have gone through
first
much
world problems. I be looking at people
first world problems.
Yeah.
I be hearing some people prayer requests like, "Just get out." Get
Exactly.
Out.
You couldn't have gone through much for this
Right.
to still be affecting you. So for me, I think for my kids is, at this point, they're successful, right? They're in sports and school and all those things are important, but they have yet to really face any adversity.
Like you're cheating them of
Right, and so even I try to create little little things of adversity that aren't really, you know what I mean? Like
Simulation.
Yeah, don't buy no more juice.
Wi-Fi is down, Dad. The Wi-Fi is down.
Listen, don't buy no more juice for 3 days. Right? Like, so I think for them it's, I'm concerned that when they go to college or they become adults, that first piece of adversity, are they going to know how to handle it?
Yeah,
You know?
that's a legitimate fear.
fear.
That's a legitimate fear. And I think that is, man, such a, and we were going to talk about fatherhood, and maybe that would be something to talk about in another podcast. But yeah, I'm worried about the same thing. I was trying to decide between sending my kids to 2 high schools. One high school, predominantly white, brand new. One
Trying to send my kids to the
very
same one, by the way.
I know.
We talked about
One
it.
very good high school, academic wise, but hood shit going on everywhere. Niggas everywhere. My daughter loves trap music, and I think consequently she will love a trap nigga vibe. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really want her around that situation. But then I thought about the other day. I was like, man, do I want her to go to college and never feel comfortable around niggas and everything she knows is white people?
Yeah.
Like, am I cheating? When I knew the total opposite coming up, and I went to HBCU, shout out FAMU, you know what I'm saying? But I just know I appreciated that experience, and I don't know if I'm cheating my kids of that.
That's fair.
That's a great
we can
conversation
definitely hit
piece,
that.
man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
like
definitely
that's fire.
different. It is. We're going to get emotional, too.
So I could not be here. You know what? I'm out. I'm leaving.
Listen, we can call you back in, Dion. Don't worry about
So,
that, man.
fighting style is an important conversation to have when you're in your relationship. You need to admit your tendencies and be able to work around them. And then ultimately your partner has to hold you accountable to that.
I'd love for Des to touch this very
You know what I mean? Because I think that fighting styles are different. I believe a lot of women are manipulative with their fighting style and with their approach. And I think men, we're a lot more straightforward. And sometimes we can be archaic. And I definitely want Des to speak on that. Me, mine, me say this, and this is what it is. And I think you have to be able to fight peacefully and fairly in order to get along. Talk to me.
So for me, I argue. I don't know that I guess it's an argument, right? It's a conversation. But I base my conversations and my arguments in facts, right? Because I think your feelings are totally based on your perspective of the world, which nobody else has. So I can't ever understand your perspective totally because I can never be in your shoes, right? Yeah. But what I can understand are the fucking facts, right? And the facts are A, B, C. You don't gotta like me. You don't have to like the facts. You can think, oh man, this is unfair, but you can't refute the facts. And so to me, I think Jezzy touched on it. I'm very, very direct. The thing with me is that I want the other person to understand why they're wrong, right? So that we don't have to revisit this in the future. And I'm being sincere about that. But I'm also, anybody that's ever been in a relationship with me, I'm also not a person that holds grudges. So we can get in an argument at 12 o'clock in the afternoon and like 1 o'clock, I'm like, are you still mad about that? Like, we're going to be mad all day? Like, because my thing is, I could walk out here, run to the store, and get in an accident, and you never see me again. So are you going to be mad at me for the rest of the day or the rest of this weekend because of something in the week from now won't even be significant? Like, as I get older, those things are important to me, and I think about that.
It's a couple things that I'd pick apart in that whole situation.
Agree to disagree is something most couples tend to use to really keep going. You said something when you're like, I'm going to make sure you understand my point, but you didn't really bring up whether you even understood her.
Or whether you were ever wrong.
Because sometimes I think we do get caught up on our point that we maybe are not listening to what theirs can be. And I'm just as much as guilty of that as the next man. But go ahead. I wanted your rebuttal.
No, I was going to say, here's the thing. I'm open to, because like I said before, facts are important to me. And so I'm open to being convinced if you're able to convince me,
That's
right?
true.
The facts indicate. So like,
And you'll admit it.
And we talk all the time. There's times where I say, but Jezzy, think about this. You go, you're right. And there's times you say stuff. I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right.
You are
and
right.
So,
You will
and
back
so
down.
I'm open to it. I think what happens with people that argue emotionally, you can't reason with them. You're like, look at what I'm telling you. No, but this is crazy, and I do everything. It's like, okay, so now you just want to make a scene right now. So for me, if she's right, she's right. The problem is, and it's going to sound crazy, I'm often right.
I figured you were going to say
But
that.
you know what, though? Women don't care about that shit. Would you not agree, Dion, you say that women tend to argue more their feelings are always,
Listen,
they're led by emotions and not logic.
He might as well be my fraternal twin because I thought he was like, bro, have you been in our house? Because that's literally me and my wife. I'm literally, and the weird dichotomy to that is that I'm learning though, because my wife will speak more from an emotional standpoint, which I do believe tends to veer on the side of most women, and I, not trying to be misogynistic, but we're just different that way. We're equal, but we're different, right? And my wife is always, but do you understand where I'm coming from? But so what I've had to learn was with all my facts, just like you, because, and I feel like I'm always right because I usually will not talk about something if I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm the same way. I'll come with my facts, but my facts a lot of times make me insensitive, and in that I'm like, okay. Let me validate, because what she's seeking right now is to validate, okay, your feelings are valid. Now here's the resolution. So with me and my wife, our conversation is always, okay, what's going to get us back to oneness? What's the resolve?
Man, doesn't it always seem, and maybe this is
good
Jada
point,
talking right here, doesn't it always seem like it's what we have to do in order to get us?
But I've learned,
the whole
one of the
is
things
always
I
an
learned, you got to
adjustment
fall
on
on your
Because
sword.
you said your facts make you seem insensitive.
Yeah.
What the fuck is insensitive about the facts? If you tell me the sky is blue, that shit bother me? No.
Right.
I feel secure
I'm with you.
in the
I'm so-
knowing that
I'm
they
like,
are facts. So
serious.
hearing you say that shit makes, I hate that women really
man.
roll that way
And
predominantly.
my wife can be very emotional manipulative.
Yeah, man,
Yes.
and
very.
men
And I
are
call her
quick
on
to
it,
say
though.
sorry.
I'll call her on
There's
it,
a
though.
lot of women who like to say, okay, give me the facts, but they looking for a tick sheet of like, oh, I was supposed to keep a diary and then tell you at 1:23 that you did this and did that and did that.
But I'll do
I
that.
don't-
My
that's
wife
why-
will hate that. She's like, "Oh, you keeping records now?"
And if you're able,
Like-
if you're able to keep records, great.
I'll just go back to text
But
messages.
most people are not
She hates it.
keeping accurate records of when you had an infraction. So
I do
therefore,
about sex. Sexual infractions, I do keep
Well,
record.
when
I
it comes
write
to
that.
sex, that's probably a different
I'll take a
story.
little
But
note.
but because most people can't, you're going to be speaking from an emotional standpoint. Like I've dealt women who are really who everything is black and white, really logical, and I'm probably the more emotional person or the more expressive person where I will react out of some emotion, but it is still drenched in facts. Just because you can't understand me
Right.
doesn't mean that I'm wrong or I'm coming from an emotional state. Just because you don't have enough EQ and emotional intelligence to understand me and empathize with my facts, because what I'm saying to you doesn't resonate with you, doesn't mean that it's not factual. It just doesn't resonate with you.
I just think our facts mean nothing if it don't bring us back to resolve.
Yeah, now that is true.
Because my thing is, we don't do that in our house. Like the whole agree to disagree. We like, no, we might shelve it for a bit,
Oh, yeah.
but we're gonna go
Yeah,
back
we
and
some
resolution.
resolution.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I don't
It's
like that
bullshit.
shit.
It's complete BS.
Yeah, it's what you
bullshit.
do when you know you lost and
Right,
you just
right.
want to try
Oh,
to
man,
get some
right.
type of win. I mean,
What my wife would do,
lost.
she'll halfway through the argument, she'll know she's dead wrong,
Yeah.
and then try to get me to own up to something that I did. I'm like, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Yo, it's so annoying.
I hate
yo.
the apologies. I'm sorry if what I did hurt
Oh,
you.
my, you might as well not even
Then I'm
apologize.
apologizing for it, but
I'm sorry about
if
the way you feel
if
about
you
something.
feel about man. You sorry
I
for
disagree with that.
This is a
course
nigga
you
that's
would.
used that.
Of course you would.
He's the one using
Of course
that.
you would,
No, he used that yesterday.
I'm gonna tell you why. I can explain myself. So I'm gonna tell you why though, because here's the thing, and I think it's admitting. Somebody said something earlier about being, maybe it's you, Gent, or Dion, but about being insensitive. Here's the thing. I feel like two things can be true. People often think that it's this or that, it's one thing or the
Agreed.
other. And it's
Sure.
not. We're way too comprehensive and complex as people. I think I can be correct in the argument and making my point and insensitive to your
Agreed.
perspective on
Yep.
this. Two things can be true.
That's
So if I apologize, I'm not apologizing for saying what I said because I said
What
what
is
I said
factual.
because it's what I meant and it was factual. I'm sorry if the way I said it or in the conversation, it came across that I wasn't
I
sensitive
feel
to
you
your
on that.
perspective.
I agree with you. I think the only part is
That's
there's
not
no
how she's
if they
saying
made
it.
it clear.
Yeah.
For me, that's the only part that I remember talking
You made it
But I'm
very
with you because
clear.
I'm the same way. Like, no, I was not wrong. So I'm not going to say I was wrong. But you've displayed that your feelings are hurt. I apologize that I hurt your feelings because there's no if in that. I hurt
That
your
is the
feelings.
appropriate way to
And
handle
that's
that.
the right way to use
Yeah.
that, Des. But when
But I'm
they're
with you,
wrong,
yeah. But I'm not
if
going to
you're
say
a man
I'm
or
wrong
woman
to make you feel better.
Yeah,
Right.
if you know you're
Right.
wrong, you cannot say I'm sorry if when you know
Yeah.
you are wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
Right, I agree.
that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Fair.
Spending habits. A lot of men, whether one person is frugal and the other one is impulsive, and I think a lot of women tend to be impulsive. I've been in many relationships where the woman will, spend wildly, and it messes
Interesting.
with the
That is
I think
situation.
it goes both
interesting.
ways.
Yeah, that men can be impulsive as well. I agree.
Yeah.
But do you talk about it? I think they say you have to talk about it and have a plan, and you have to set a limit as far as what you can spend without consulting the other. Do you do that?
I used to do that.
What's
I used
the
to-
limit?
and it was a very frugal limit because remember I made
What
this.
was the limit?
It was like if you spend anything more than $100,
100 is pretty good.
if
though.
you spend anything more than $100, I want to know.
Yeah,
it.
100 is reasonable.
That's my thought
I
process.
thought you were gonna say 25.
Well, I mean, it went from 50 to 100. I mean, I was,
25
it
is
should
tough.
be a sliding scale, but the reality is, I just want to know because if we're making bigger purchases and I'm in charge of the finances, then it makes sense, right? But if so I think that plays a role in it.
So who's controlling the finances?
Kind of who's controlling the finances.
Definitely
Mhm.
matters.
That's fair.
I don't have any issue with that. So
Have it always been that way? Like, were you guys able to talk about money immediately?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Two things. I think outside of a relationship, I don't mix my money. Right? Like if I want to pay for something or treat you or do something for us, then that's what I do. And there's no expectation of anything else, right? And if you want to do the same, awesome. And that's what it is. Being married, I think is different, right? Because I think that like in my relationship, we got a pot, right? And I trust my significant other to be able to make this. We got kids together. So it's like, I trust you to be the mother of my kids. If I can't trust you to be responsible with money, like, God damn, you know what I mean? So in that situation with the person I'm with, we don't have, she's responsible. She keeps on top of things. And we don't have a threshold. I would say if there was one, if she's spending anything over like a couple $100, he's probably like, hey, I'm about to do this. I'm like, okay, cool. But that's
And it's not a permission. It's more of
right.
a
It's a
respect.
heads up.
It's
Just
an
a heads
informed-
up.
Yeah, it's just more of a heads up.
But women
um,
view it the other way, and I think that's where the tension comes in. But the way you just stated it is beautiful. She's just letting you know that, so you know, nigga.
And the thing is, like, we never talked about that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I think it was just a mutual respect thing. But yeah, that's probably the most, in any relationship I've been in.
What about you,
Kinda
Dion?
that.
Yeah, we talked about it immediately because it was one of the things that came up in premarital counseling. So it was like immediate, but we were so it's funny that you said on us is the opposite. I've never been one for the preservation of money because I've always been a good earner, but I sucked at saving, right? Saving, but I was good for saving for things, not saving just to save.
Right.
And my wife is Jamaican.
Yeah.
She saves just to save. Super frugal, right? So I had to, but while we were courting, I had to get better with my spending habits because I would be like, listen, I make X amount of dollars a year. I can spend this and be fine, right? My wife, she needs stability, so she wasn't feeling that. So we talked about those things, and we made like a whole spreadsheet and put what our bills come out this and that third. Because we have a joint account and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And my wife only has a separate account because she has a long relationship with them, and they give her like high credit limits and stuff like that.
Right.
So we just keep that open because her relationship is so strong. But anyway, so it's all from the same pot.
Are you an authorized user on that account?
Of course, I'm
There it
authorized.
is.
My dude.
But yeah,
For the win.
everything
For the
is
win.
everything. But
Everything is everything.
But to that point, so the threshold thing is funny because my wife, she said 30. I'm just like, I don't need you to call me if you go spend
$30?
I'm trying to tell
That's
you, my
not
wife
a
thinks
lot,
you're all
man.
it's not.
That's
So
not a
I
lot.
told her, I said, listen, and it's for us, it is a sliding scale. Depending on what it is, I don't think you should be spending not amount of money
Yeah.
for that,
Right.
right? And that's what we talk about. Other than that, it's like whatever. Like where we were out here, and I think she wanted to get her nails done. She was like, "Oh, I think it's like this." I was like, "I don't care. Like go for it. Like that's
Right.
that's nothing, right?"
I think it's less
but-
about the amount and more about what it is.
yeah,
like
but
you
it
said.
but I will tell you sometimes those conversations it can feel tense if there's an expectation that I don't know about. Like if you have an expectation that you didn't divulge to me and tell me, then it becomes tension. Like if you're always asking me, hey, if I say, hey, I'm going to pay this bill on Friday, and you keep asking me before Friday, there's just like, bro, it's not even Friday. I already said that bill's going to be paid. So that's the type of attention where it becomes like it's a nagging thing about money. Because she is very frugal, so she can be very penny pinching, especially when things are tight when we're trying to do certain things. But I'm like,
and I think that's the key word. Sometimes, like I had a family of 4 and on $32,000. So for me, because I had kids just like you, pretty young. So for me, like that, it was a necessity to do that, right? So when she spent $1,000 in a day. Like I damn near lost
that's a problem.
My jizzle top. I blew my whole jizzle top off. You know what I'm saying? I had to go get it back.
That's nasty.
You know what I'm saying? So to be honest with you, it was one of those things where it's a sign of respect, right? Because now to me that's disrespectful that you did that and then to consult with me knowing that we already
make more
struggling.
money though.
But now, oh my God,
but you still treat it the same way.
You know what? Because habits are hard to break sometimes, but in the same breath, I think I'm much more giving and much more easy with money.
I don't even think it's about giving.
It's more easy with the money.
I want to ask a question. When you first, like how long of being with somebody before you share how much money you make? Is that a thing?
What do you mean? Like
how long before?
In the dating scene or like when you get together?
I guess together, like you're dating, but you're official. Or like at some point, because obviously you married, my wife knows all the money that comes through. But before that, is there?
I don't.
You don't at all? Okay.
Nah, I don't. I mean, like here's the thing. Like it don't matter how much money I make as long as I make enough for us to have a healthy relationship.
God.
You know what I mean? Like honestly, like
and are you depending on them?
Wonder that.
Because if you're taking care of yourself, why does it matter what I make? Like I make enough to pay my rent, my car, and my.
I just noticed that that's
life.
a conversation a lot of millennials have now. That's why I don't go to networking things. I hate when I feel like asking you what you do is the new how much money do you make. It's like trying to size you up. You know what I mean? So I would just wonder if in the date, I guess I've been out of the dating scene for a while. If that's a thing, like at what point do you share?
You're gonna be able to tell from me by what I'm about to do next. Because like it's gonna be where how I move, where I go.
Okay.
The things that I'm capable of
You'll
doing.
know you're comfortable.
You'll gain a sense of, oh, you know what? He all right. You know what I'm saying? He doing all right.
She might think I don't got no money.
Right.
I disagree because
I wear t-shirts and shorts. I'm not fancy at all.
And I agree, but when you do things, you do tight things. You go to nice
and that's
restaurants,
same.
Where you vacate,
you're
all
not
that
eating
stuff.
at Wendy's on a regular basis. So I think all of that matters. A chick should never ask you that if she's being taken care of in that situation. Now, I think if you're younger, see, we're older. I'm 38, so when you're younger, I think that's a question to ask because you want to see what your future is going to look like, house, family, all that. At this stage, I got kids, bitch. I ain't having no more. Like, I'm already straight. I didn't make it here by mistake. I didn't make it here with someone else help. So I'm straight. Don't worry about my money. Make sure you can take care of you. I can take care of me, and we straight. So that's my mindset on that. I'm not looking to take
your
care
advice
of
to younger people that's not married yet, that's just got an interest in somebody, like go ahead and
I think they should do. I think that you got to talk about.
To your point,
the money.
I realized that when you said that, I've never told her, but she knew because I had a house already, and for Christmas I was buying her Valentinos and stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
like already out the gate.
Out the gate, you all right. She already knew, like, okay, he doing something. But she also knew I spent a lot of money, and that's the thing. That's what she cared about more. She was like, I don't care about how much you make, but you spend a lot of money.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah. She think about the future.
I would say this too, though. As a person with a daughter. If she's dating in her 20s, her early 20s, and she's like, oh, I'm dating this guy, it's been like 2 months, 3 months. I'm like, what is he doing with his life?
It's funny, but you're gonna ask that.
Exactly. That's why
maybe not what he makes, but what is he doing with his life? What are his plans? And not what he's told you. What have you validated? Because motherfuckers,
you're looking at potential.
I'll be like, what you do? Oh, I'm in construction.
You're looking at potential stability is what you're looking for. Yeah,
I agree. And again, that's more important when you're younger. I think once you get older, I mean, again,
you didn't get here by accident.
I'm not doing it. Like, I'm in the
if I'm looking good, teeth good at 40.
I got a dental plan. Don't worry. You know what I mean? So children, you have to discuss whether or not you want to have kids. I've been asking Des this all week. So I want to go right to that one right there. You obviously want to talk about how many kids you want to have. In a perfect world, it's all good. You have no problem. So my question was to him was, what if you got with a woman, everything's gravy, you get married, you know there's no problems. Because you really don't know a problem until the problem surfaces. Let's be honest, y'all been fucking, you've been pulling out. Maybe she was making you strap up because she was being a good woman. I mean, I don't know if they're doing that still, but
85%. That's 85%.
So you never knew there to be an issue with having a child, but now you're married and she can't have a child. Do you leave? You
already know my answer. I think they should take this first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So interestingly enough, my wife was a virgin until we got married.
Shit.
So that's why I said our story's a little different. Like we waited until marriage for all the good stuff. So our first time was literally our honeymoon, right?
Man, that's a lot of
so
respect
my wife
right
literally did not know if she could have kids, and that was always something in the back of her mind, right? So I had a plan because I'm a planner. I was just like, all right, we're gonna be married for 3 years, and then we're gonna try to have some kids. Didn't happen. We wound up getting her pregnant first year, going on the second year.
I know how that goes.
Right? So I was pissed at first, like, but nevertheless, before then, obviously, I already had one, and we was going to be a blended family. She was going to be an instant mom anyway, which has come with a different set of concerns and opportunities. Right? Again, my daughter is a little bit older too, and sweet as pie. Awesome girl, but she's still a teenager. You know what I mean? And it's still different. And my wife never been a mother before, you know. So now we got a little guy, 7 months. And it's, it's thank you. So it's a lot, man. But the conversation around kids was like, okay, 3 kids. That was kind of like her thing. I was just like, I don't know. But now that we have it, and a part of this is just selfish. Like, I enjoy my wife's company so much. Yeah. Like, if we had no kids for the rest of our life, I'd be Gucci. I'd be cool with it. Because I enjoy her company, right? And I'm kind of selfish. Like, I want her company to myself, right?
I get that.
So now I'm having, and she wants one more. I'm just like, we have one more, then I got to share you again for another 40 years. Like,
do it now, though, if you're going to do it and don't wait.
That's
I totally get it. Now that I'm getting older, I want more of my time back. Once you have kids, you really give if you're a good parent,
you're giving everything to them.
So much of your time.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as parent. I don't believe in parents until you're 18. Like, I'm a parent until you die.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, but until 18,
I don't think it's obvious. Because in our culture, that I grew up at 19, I was out because that was their mindset.
I was too. But honestly, I think that's a healthy child. If you're doing well and you're raising your child right, at 18, they're going to go off to college and you see them on holidays and
independence.
If you raise them right, they should not need you.
I think both things are true. I think just the definition of what that parenting, the parenting responsibilities morph, right? They mature, but I think there's still an aspect. For me, I would say this: I'm not staying with her. We probably, and I talked to Jezzy about this. I'm having that conversation early in the relationship because it was something before I had kids that was important to me. And so I would say, okay, like if we needed to go get tested, if she didn't know whatever that was, but if she wasn't, my thing is, I guess before I said I would leave, are you open to other possibilities? The two options I gave were, my mom's adopted, right? So the question is,
oh, that's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah. The question is, like, do you believe in adoption? Yeah. Right? That's my second thing. The first thing is, would you allow me to inseminate the egg of another woman? Right?
Do you need to do it the professional way?
The professional way. Okay. The professional way.
The political way.
Because I'd be over there like, listen,
way.
It's not going to be the same.
I wouldn't do that. I care about it, so I wouldn't do that. But I would ask, and if she was like, nope, I only want, if I'm going to have kids, they're going to be my own. If she was really selfish and I would say, okay, then we probably need
It'd be hard to believe a woman who knows she can't have kids or found out she couldn't, that she wouldn't work with her husband. You know, that'd be hard.
It's probably not uncommon.
And then, I know I have a friend, his wife, before they got married, straight told him she don't want any kids. And it was pretty much almost a deal breaker for him. He wound up still marrying her and he wound up having a kid, and she's very happy that they did. But but he took a risk.
And he could have led to resentment, and she hated that child.
She's an alpha female. She was just like,
you gotta know what your game look like, though. If your game's strong, you can talk someone into anything. You know what I'm saying?
I have a story about this. So someone in my family, somebody who's very close to me, has been married. They are now 42. The woman is 42 and the man is 45, respectively. And they have been married since their 20s, right? He has always wanted a child, And she always said, well, wait till I graduate from undergrad. Wait till I graduate from my master's program. She's a psychiatrist. Wait till I graduate from medical school, whatever psychiatrists go to, right? Do all this stuff, right? I think it's medical school for psychiatrists as well. Then she got out. Let me establish my practice and get enough clients, right?
Yeah.
And then her practice had been going for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And he was kind of like, what's up? And, he talked to me about it.
She did.
Well,
Yeah.
Not necessarily. So he talked to me about it. This person's close to me. And I said, look, if I were you, and I love this other person, I love them both together,
Right.
and they're both my family. And she actually is. He's not.
Right.
And I told him, I said, you need to have a real conversation with her. And I said, if you feel like you need to leave, then that's a decision you have to make. And it wouldn't necessarily be because she couldn't have kids. It would be because of the lack of trust she had. Well, so fast forward, they now have an 18-month-old son, right, at 42 and 45.
So,
he's so happy. She's not.
Yeah.
So, ... No. You just
So
talked
you
to
know-
her.
you know what's gonna happen
resentment
later.
can definitely kick in, and that's why you have to have those conversations. And many times couples, one person wants to have more and the other doesn't, and resentment can kick in even there. Because she's mad that you won't get her pregnant, or you're mad that you won't let her get
He
her
graduated
pregnant.
when she's 60.
It's crazy.
That's a little tough.
It's crazy, and I think when you're getting older, again, you just want your time.
Yeah,
back.
you want to get it
You know,
back.
and you want to be able to live for yourself. I love my kids. I wouldn't trade them for the world. But
Yeah.
nigga, turn 18 and go. Hit me up. Call me for money, man. We'll kick in. We're gonna be close no matter what. And I love my relationship with my kids, but I'm ready for more of myself back. So I totally respect you saying I want my wife to myself.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I like
and she, I don't know, because again, she's like, oh, just one more, and I'm just like, bro, you don't understand. And then the other thing too is we know the type. Like my daughter wants to go to Harvard, cha-ching, and we like my daughter's smart as a whip, and all those good things, go to one of the best schools in the city. But my mindset, because I didn't have any of that, right? So I had to pay for LaSalle myself. LaSalle's a pretty penny, right? But my thing is like, I never wanted to be like, well, she'll just get a scholarship. Like, no, there's a mutual fund with her name on it for Harvard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, man, I got to do that 3 times.
No, it's expensive, man.
Real talk.
It gets really expensive. So me, I'm like, to your point, I want them to have a quality of life that I did not have, right? And I know that's another conversation that we don't tend to have. We're just like, oh, we'll just figure it out. I'm not that
No,
person.
you can't figure it
I'm
out,
a
man.
planner.
The average,
I'm like, we
the
need
average
to plan.
freaking price of a child is close. Is upwards of $300,000, and that doesn't include. It doesn't even include college. So I mean, it's
Come on, man. It's insane,
It's kind of
right?
insane.
It
So
is.
you got to take that into consideration. I know for me, like if someone came to me like that and said they couldn't, I would, if they're willing to have a surrogate, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they were talking about adoption, I know that I'm just not built for that, because I know that I wouldn't treat that child the same way that it should be treated.
I respect you for being honest. Everybody else
And I just want to say,
I didn't answer that.
I know if I had a kid, and then like let's say I had a kid previous to that, and then I had a kid with and we adopted,
That's
like I'm treating this kid better, and I don't want to say it.
That ain't
I'm
even
just
your
telling the
daddy,
truth.
nigga. My kid would never act like
You
that.
cannot adopt a child with that. And I respect you
That's
saying
why
you
I wouldn't
wouldn't.
do it. I
I
wouldn't
know.
do it.
And I tell you, listen, I told you my mom's adopted, and like I'm not really feeling adoption either.
Yo, I have a heart
but-
for adoption,
Yeah.
mainly because I was in foster care for whatever, a couple months, whatever case may be. So I just have a big heart for that. I actually consider, me and my wife talked about that at premarital counseling too, because I asked her the same thing.
Yeah.
If you cannot, because obviously she didn't know, would you be open to adoption? So we talked about that. Adoption is hella expensive too, though.
Yeah.
It's not even the expense. I
I'm just
just
like,
want to. I don't want to
stupid
spare the
expensive.
children any type of
No, I get that,
feelings that would be
If
associated.
you really
with
want to adopt, just
you
go to
not
the
mine.
hood, find a crack baby. Find a crack baby and just take
stop
that.
it.
That's
tough.
That's half
That's
off.
tough. You know what? If you want to adopt, you find a kid that's going to be right for your family, and you going with the right mindset. Because I know. I mean, listen.
That's what it is for real.
And we'll change. We'll move on. But I'll tell you. Dude, my mom tells me all the time. She ended up doing some research, and she knows who her birth parents were, and there's a whole story around that. But to her, she says, God put me in the right place. She said, because the people that raised her gave her the best childhood that she could imagine. She said, I had all of their attention. I had everything I could have really asked for.
Yeah.
And she said, I was so appreciative to them for it.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I was like, man, that's
So she
tough.
never, just to close that out, so she never went to go search for it.
That's a whole nother story.
Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it
Like
after.
fatherhood.
We'll smoke it out later. You know what I'm saying?
So dealing with each other's family, setting an expectation or talking about the expectations you have for your
Shout out to
partner's
these questions.
I know, for your partner's involvement with your family. And this one speaks to my fucking heart and my
tell me about
situation more because I'm an extrovert, and you know our family, we
Yeah.
always got the vibes going.
Mad crazy.
You know, I ended up with a woman that was an introvert and that wouldn't blend in with the family and would rather isolate herself, etc.
Not gonna be able
and
to
I
do
feel
it.
like you have to find someone that fits into your family the way you want them to. Because again, what you want exists, people. You don't have to settle for this and not get what you really want because you just think this person is good. No, don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Fuck them. Get what you want because you need it to be happy. You need it to be faithful. Like, look at the big picture. So to me, again, those expectations with family, is that a conversation you even have? Like, hey, I want you at all the family events. I want you in the middle of everything. Like, I don't know if people have those conversations.
I'm not gonna lie, but my perception of family has continued to morph throughout the years. As long as the older I get, it's almost that biblical feeling of leaving your mother and father behind, and then focusing on what what God has given you, whether it's that wife and child or that significant other and what they're providing. So for me, like, I don't have that same sense of they gotta fit in with my family. I do have that sense of I want them to be on my level. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can be more introverted and get your energy by being alone. And I get it by, being around people. But as long as we can vibe, like, you're all right with stepping outside of your comfort zone and I'm all right with, like, not going out and chilling with you and Netflixing and chilling. Like, as long as they're
That's crazy. So you don't care if your spouse vibes with your family.
I care that they're able to associate with anybody. Like, you remember, if we have friends, like-minded people, we chill, right? You know what I'm saying? Sociology 101. We fuck with people who are similar with it as ourselves, right? And if she's able to fit within that group of friends or that family, of course that matters. But saying that she has to, like, legitimately fit with my mama or my daddy, or like I gotta get their approval. Like, I'm not there anymore. Like, I used to be there, but I'm not there anymore.
Would you say it's a deal breaker if you find that you're having issues with the person you're seeing as far as their interaction with your friends and loved ones? Is that something like, man, every time you just
Now that
was that because
that means you can't get along with nobody.
Then I can't take you nowhere.
Yeah, I can't take you nowhere. Like, I can't go nowhere with you.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm saying, is that a deal breaker for you?
Like my mama.
Hell yeah. Now that's a deal breaker,
Yeah.
bruh. Like, I mean, it's different. Like, if it's a singular person that you're not getting along with versus you against the world. Come on, man. Shoot.
I think that's
Gotta trade you
important.
in. That's a lemon,
More
right
than
there.
ever, we've been on trips together where, I've had unfortunate situations where I wasn't represented well by my significant other.
Big facts.
And
Super embarrassing. Hashtag.
no, it's fucking embarrassing and disrespectful. I'm not
Yeah, real
ashamed to
talk.
admit it.
Real talk.
And to,
I
I
got the
always
footage.
keep
That
it
sounds
real.
fun.
It was bad. It was
No,
bad. It was awkward too.
And it's always awkward when you're watching, right? And,
Yeah, it
and
is.
funny, low key.
Yeah,
So,
when I got back to the room, it was.
of course, I appreciate you waiting and holding your laugh. That's a good friend. But my point of the matter is, I think that you represent the person you're with, and it's important to get along with family, friends, and loved ones, because there's nothing better than when you're with that person and you go and see a friend and they all connect and everyone's laughing.
Beautiful.
You don't need them to be best friends. I don't care if you faking it. I don't care, but catch that vibe. I never knew how important that was to me until I got older, to have a chick that I can take out and be like, and I walk away and, oh, she over there laughing with my cousin. She over there kicking it with my homeboy. And
That is a moment.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Beautiful.
important.
Yeah.
You step
That's
back
important.
and look at that shit.
Yeah.
too.
You start to appreciate
Yeah.
her more because you see that everyone's appreciating what she brings to the table. And that, to me, makes her more attractive. And the women out there, and I almost said black women, so I'm glad I stopped myself. But to the women out there, because it's women all kind that act that way, first off, fuck you. But second of all, realize what you're doing, because really you're pushing him away from you. Because no man, regardless of how great the relationship, regardless of how great the sex is, if you're isolating yourself like that, I don't think it's going to last long term. I don't. I think that
Especially if family's
you have
important to that person.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I think it matters.
I've not met many people that said,
Yeah.
no, family don't mean shit to me.
So I'll tell you, in my relationship, I can't. So I have a big family, but kind of growing up, I had a lot of family that was involved in foolishness, and so my mother made decisions that we are not going to associate with that part of the family. The problem was that was the rest of the family. Right? So we didn't associate with nobody after about 12. So my family growing up was my mom, my dad, me, and I have a younger brother who was 11 years younger. My parents had me wait 11 years for some odd reason and had him.
That's crazy.
And so he was even a child then, right? And you're talking 12, 13. He's 2 or 3 years old. And I got a dope brother, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Major. But for me, that was what I was used to, and I was fine with it, right? For holidays, we kept it real small. And when I got with my wife, the first time I met her family, I didn't know I was meeting her family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she was like, hey, you should come over for Thanksgiving. I'm thinking, okay, she got a sister. The sister's married. The sister's married. Mom, dad. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Nuclear family, I got you, boo-boo.
Tripping. You didn't set you up.
You had D.O.T.I.
I showed up. I showed up. There was about 15, 20 people there.
Sounds
Early.
Yeah, that's not the
And
whole thing.
I was not prepared for that. I was initially in the very early stages of our relationship, very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I had lots of anxiety right in those situations, and I was like, I'm not comfortable.
Which is funny because you're comfortable in almost every situation.
Well, I think it was the fact, too, that they're speaking another language around.
For real,
me.
and
you
know
all be
what I'm
talking
saying?
about big black negro.
You're so stupid. But the one thing I can tell you made a difference to me, even the first time, is not even from her parents, right? Was her aunt and uncle came over, and she had a cousin who was probably about 6 years younger than me, and they came over and they were talking to me, and they were like, "Hey, how's it going? Where you from?" Made me super duper comfortable,
Yeah.
and now. Me and her family are tight.
you
Her
love
dad
it, yeah.
calls me. She ain't spoke to him in 2 days, but he talked to me today. You know what I mean? And so that mattered to her. It matters, and I think there's a difference, right? I think it matters that the people, and this could be parents, it could be family, it could be friends, right? The people that you choose to spend your free time with, that your significant other gets along with them.
Now that's important.
I think that's what's important. If you see your parents once every year and a half,
Or
2
two
years,
times,
that's
yeah.
probably not as important than the friends that you hang out with every
Exactly.
weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
That's a real
I
solid
agree.
point.
And it's funny because so community is big for me. So, and it's big for, obviously, my wife, her family, they do everything together. My family was not like that. Similar to your family, a little dysfunctional. They have petty rivalries. So my grandmother, she had 4 kids, which my mother is one of them, obviously. Their cousins, I didn't know any of them until I got on Facebook. I met half my family on Facebook. That's how petty
Bringing
some of
families
these things
together.
are, right? Yeah, bringing families together. Just as an ad. Since 2007. So I didn't really know, again, half of my family. So obviously knew my mother, my grandmother, my cousins. So that's like my family. And we grew up, like me and my cousins, the 7 of us, we grew up in the house together. So my cousins are really like my
Siblings.
brothers. It's
Right.
like those are really like my siblings. Though I have 3 siblings, but I wasn't raised with them. So I wound up, me and my elder sister, we wound up living together for a little bit. But anyway, so to your point, it depends on who. However, the church that I was going to, they're like my family. Like at our wedding, half of them was people that I grew up with from my church.
Yeah.
So to your point, when we got invited to everything, our first 2 years of courting, we went to like 11 weddings. You know what I mean?
That's some fun stuff, too.
So all
put
that,
some pressure on you.
All that, nah, for me. I was a planner.
You already knew it was.
Yeah, I already knew. But anyway, those things was important, right? And we would go to all these different functions. And my wife sometimes she's more of an observer, than someone who's going to constantly converse with you until she feels comfortable. But sometimes that would make me feel uncomfortable because you look like you're being standoffish. So we used to get in arguments and stuff about that. Like we're at a barbecue and I see her acting weird. I'm just like, yo, like these are my folks. Like, what's up with you? And we would legit get in
I think
arguments
that's a
about
cop
that.
out too. The whole observer thing. I think that is your personality, and you can be one thing. You always say that you can be one thing and remain true. You can be another.
For sure.
Just because you prefer to observe, I don't
not mean-
think
yep.
that's
Doesn't mean
the
you can't
time
be
to do it.
capable of
And I tell her all the time,
So-
just because you don't do that, don't
because
mean
you go to
can't.
work and you go to those work
You know what I mean?
functions, you're an observer. No,
Yeah.
nigga, you better network
Yeah.
or you won't be getting this bonus or you won't have this promotion
Facts.
on. So I think you go out, you step out of your comfort zone for things that matter, and your relationship should matter to you.
That's a
So
good point.
regardless
Yeah,
of you,
solid
Because
what you
relationships are
normally do.
everything to me. Like relationships really matter, to me. So, and it's great. So we've had those conversations, we had those arguments, and she gets it, so she is really tight with a lot of people. But the beautiful thing, just the family part, me being a part of her family, I feel like I upgraded because that's what I always wanted.
Yeah,
always
never
wanted my
had it.
family to be able to do everything
And
together.
you love
know what I
that
mean?
family shit.
And
now.
yeah, it's dope. It's dope.
Because I didn't have that. You know
I
what
know
I
you
mean?
got
So it was
that.
something
I
I
can hear it
wanted.
in your
So
voice
it's
that you
pretty
talk.
dope.
Yeah, we just going up to, you know what I mean?
And my
Yeah,
in-laws
slow
are
down.
dope,
Dread.
yo. They be making
Yeah,
mine too.
oxtails, and I love my
Yeah,
in-laws.
yeah.
They're so sweet. When I wasn't working, like I remember they paid like 2 months of our mortgage. Like,
And you know
my
what's so
in-laws is
crazy
lit,
about
yo.
in-law
Yes.
shit?
Same here.
Is that,
Amazing,
Same
man.
here.
you know, your kids choose who they choose. You jump on board. You know, I never
Yeah.
understand
Yeah. No, I'm
the
with you.
parents that like, oh, you know, I don't
Yeah.
like this one. Because the reality is it's already too late.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to do. So you jump on board. And that's one thing I got to give my mom a big credit to because
Shout out, Mom.
she jumped on even though it probably wasn't what she would have chose herself. You know what I'm saying? And she never stayed there. She went where she should have gone. And that's what I think friends and family and those who really support you do. So,
Facts. Facts.
yeah, just to wrap this last one up, housework. Discuss how housework will be handled. And, you know, chores, no one wants to do them. I know you was talking about that the other day. But so often the woman feels like the maid. And I think it's important, fellas, it's 2020. Pick up that mop.
I agree with you.
You know, pick up that broom and get shit done.
I always thought that was weird. It was never. Now, my wife will own certain things.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And she'll say, I'll do that. Because, for
Right.
example, she hates that I rarely separate my darks from my colors and
Man,
stuff like that.
tighten up.
Give me some on that, bro. I'm like, I ain't got time for it. I'm like, listen, this all needs to be clean. I'm putting it all in. As long as I don't put bleach on the colors, we should be good.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Nah, and,
Why
my
they
wife, and she got a
tripping?
special way. She got to wash the whites. So she'll take certain things. But it's never a thing like I come home like water housing. Like, nah. Like, we don't
Agreed.
do all. You know what I mean? I feel like that's whack. It should have never been that way. But I am borderline OCD. So
I'm the same way, bro.
Super organized. And
I'm the
like
same
you ever
way.
come to my house, it looks like we cleaned all day long because that's just the way I am. And so, you know, so we both have that, but it's never a thing like, oh, do this.
Same
do
with
that.
me, man. I have like borderline anxiety if
Yeah.
things are out of order, and I can't leave the house until things.
Yeah, that's
are
I can't go to
minus
sleep with
caps on
dishes
drinks
in the sink.
are hotel ready, except for caps on
Caps on
drinks.
drinks, apparently.
Like I can't for some reason.
That's very
I just-
out of order. in
I
my
know.
opinion.
I just be like whatever. It'd be loose. But outside of that, man, like I don't look at the stereotypical male and female roles as it relates to cleaning because our mom raised us.
Yeah, to be
the
able
first
to
thing
do it
that
all.
she said that if y'all think that these gal is gonna be the same way, that how they were raised back in the day. You're a fool, basically.
Right.
So, she wanted to make sure that you knew how to iron and press on and wash clothes
Everything.
on, clean on,
Again,
all that.
you should be able to do it all.
Because she's saying that these girls ain't the same way like
Yeah.
they used to be. So
Yeah.
it kind of got me scared.
And
Like,
funny
dang, I was
story.
going to get a girl that wasn't going to be
funny
right.
story. Before we got married, my wife didn't cook because my wife lived with her parents until
Jesus.
until we got married, right? So I always cooked. I've been living by myself since I was 19.
Word.
So when we played the little games at our engagement party, like who's going to be the cook, and I would raise my hand, bro. When I say my wife jumped right into that lane,
Owned
and,
it.
bruh.
Throwing down.
I barely now when she's not home, when she don't cook, I'm eating Oreos. Like, yo, what is happening? Like, it's a whole different thing. So, and I think the beautiful duality of that is it was never forced on her. I was never like, oh, you
That's
gotta
beautiful.
cook.
She took it as a
Yeah,
challenge.
and she just
That's
took
beautiful.
it and just
and
owned
more
it
importantly,
and killed
just
it.
because you haven't done something doesn't mean you can't do it.
Correct.
I hate the helplessness that
Yeah.
we imply.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. Get on it. I don't care if you've never cooked. I don't care if you weren't always into fitness. You can be something
Yeah.
different. You know what I
Facts.
mean?
I don't know how this transition from fitness.
I mean to say because I mean to say anything. There's so many different things.
It hurts still.
No. It's not even like that at all. It's really not that at all. I really
gotta
just say
care.
anything. You know what I'm saying? No, seriously.
Nah, you
and
real, that's
quickly
real.
before we go, I did throw it in low key, ladies, for that shade. But alone time, you got to discuss your expectations on alone time. I don't want to go in crazy because we've been at it, but the society leads you to believe that because you're in a relationship, you're always supposed to be with someone. It's really important not to create dependency issues by always being with someone. So, if ladies, fellas, let your mate go. Let them encourage them to go out. I always be like, girl, you ain't
Yeah,
going out.
I'm the
They
same
don't tie
way.
to
Can't be
your
attached
ass.
to my hip.
Yeah,
You know what I
Like,
mean?
be
Yeah, I
grown.
hate that. And I'm
Be
an
grown.
introvert, so I enjoy my own company. I go to
Yeah.
the movies by myself.
Me too.
I like to read, all that stuff. My court and my wife couldn't handle that. She used to come over. I used to be like, yo, I really don't want to talk right now. You know
We
what
can
I mean?
be together, but not necessarily
Exactly.
interact.
Just sit there.
Yeah, sit
It's-
there.
we all
Do your
good,
thing.
But same thing though. I always encourage her, like, go hang out with your girlfriends, go do this, go build
Yeah.
these relationships.
I'm the
Go
same.
pour into people. So yeah, I think
I
that's
see. The
big.
good thing is I traveled like 70% of the time. So I can get my alone time real easy. You know what I'm saying? So for me,
too much alone time.
Yeah, I had way too
damn
much.
life.
Right, my whole life was pretty much alone. So I got real comfortable with myself. Right, facts. Right, but now in the COVID, like, and even before, like for me, my alone time was smoking a cigar outside. Like, don't come fuck with me.
Right.
Like, don't bother me. Like, this is my time to vibe. This is my time to decompress.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I had to be out with y'all and hitting the club or, you know, doing something crazy. It was just more like I just needed that little slice of peace, man. It's for me to decompress and kind of meditate.
Yeah,
you know,
so healthy.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
What it is.
So listen, we appreciate y'all. We just want to again wrap it up. Have these conversations with your mate if you hope to make it. If you don't, then don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate you joining us too, Dion.
We really do.
Appreciate it. Great
That's
insight
fine,
and
man.
perspective.
You know, and I just want to say again, right or wrong, it's hard to say, but figure out what fits. You know, I think we get caught up on right or wrong when the reality is this just doesn't fit. The way you see it is the way you see it, and that's your truth. I just see it differently. So find the person that sees things the way you do, and you're good.
Brunch with the boys. We
Brunch
here.
with the boys. I'll let us.
we out, man.
Yeah, coffee and brunch. We can have our conversations over coffee and brunch. Ha.